So I got new glasses and I still have the glare. I don't know how to fix it. So I apologize for that. But I do need them as I have some reading to do today. I've been talking to a friend of mine, actually a few friends of mine I've discussed this with, around shopping and buying food on a tight budget. And we realized that none of us do it the same. And I was one of the exceptions to the rule of how I shop and when I shop and what I shop. And I realized, but there's a way that I can help you perhaps come out with your budget on your food purchasing. And I thought I'll share my tips with you. The first tip is when buying food, have a budget. Okay? Limit yourself. Go look at the money that you have available after you have paid everything that you have to pay. Your bills, your subscriptions, your insurance, all the debit orders, all of that. Look at the money that you have available after that. And then go subdivide that what you have available proportionally to what you need additionally. Like you still need to pay, say, pay-as-you-go airtime or pay-as-you-go electricity. Stuff like that, that's not a fixed fee that you have to budget for. And then allocate a certain amount to food, saying that this is what I need to come out with. And so that amount should then not be fixed every month, because some months you might use more electricity because it's summertime and you're running air cons. Other months you need to perhaps pay for a school camp that you didn't have in your budget the month before, and then the food budget or the entertainment budget would probably be the budget that you have to cut. So you need to be flexible on what you eat and how you work within your budget, but have a budget so you know this is the amount you have available and this is the amount you can shop. The second tip that I have is define food-wise. I am now not talking about anything else but just the food budget, the grocery budget here. Define what is a need and what is a want. For instance, there are certain things that you eat because you enjoy eating them, but they actually serve no purpose because they don't fill up your stomach and you don't really need it. So let me give you a few examples, and everybody's lifestyle is different. So for some of you, what I mention now will be a need. For others, it won't be. Okay. So let's start with feta cheese. Feta cheese is very nice, but it is also much more expensive than a block of cheddar cheese or Gouda or whatever cheese you enjoy. So feta, in my opinion, is a luxury. You don't need feta cheese. If you need cheese for the dishes that your family enjoys to eat, and yes, it is an easy way to make a quick sandwich, toasted cheese sandwich or whatever, then buy an alternative, and you don't need more than one type of cheese. You might want more, but you don't need it. Okay. Second example, for instance, is mushrooms. My family loves it. I know it's very healthy, but you can eat a whole pack of mushrooms. It won't make you full. So if you're on an extremely tight budget, mushrooms is not going to be on there, because in a tight budget, you need stuff that has value for your stomach, will fill up your family's tummies and make sure they don't go to bed hungry. So mushrooms won't be on a tight budget grocery list. Olives, another idea. Very nice, easy way to zhoosh up a salad or a pizza or even a pasta. But again, serves no purpose other than adding flavor. So that'll definitely be on the luxury list. Another thing, for instance, is when it comes to coffee. You get cheap coffees and you get expensive coffees. You can see my Nespresso machine there at the back. You know I love my Nespresso coffee. But in a tight budget month, you're not going to buy Nespresso. You're going to buy instant coffee, perhaps. That's not cheap these days either, but still, you'll probably drink more tea then. So yeah, that's just a few examples. Oh, another thing, cool drink. That's the first thing I cut from my budget when I need to cut my budget, because you can drink water. You don't need cool drink. Cool drink is a nice to have, it's nice to drink, but water is better for you, and if you're thirsty, you drink water. So it's a couple of things like that I can mention, but those were just off the top of my head, a few examples. So make your own list and tell you, this is stuff I have to have in my house, in my cupboard, in my fridge, and this is the ultimate bare basic minimum. And these are my extra luxury items that I could add when I have a large. My third tip is plan ahead. I discovered in discussion with my friends that they don't do that. they decide on a day-to-day basis, that's what we're going to eat tonight, and then they go to the shop and they buy what they need. That does not work for me at all. I can't stick to my budget when I shop like that, because you go in the shop, you see stuff that you think, ooh, this would be nice for this meal, or ooh, I need to pack this tomorrow for my child for the lunchbox as a treat, or this looks nice, I really want this, or I'm thirsty, I'm going to buy myself a cool drink. Every time you go to the shop, there will be an item in your basket that you did not plan to buy because you saw it and realized that you needed it. Okay. But you might be needing it because it's short in your cupboard, but if you didn't thought about it or think about it when you planned your meal, you probably didn't need it for that exact specific time or day. Right, so that's a second thing. I used to plan ahead for a whole week, but then I found midweek I have to buy fresh stuff like milk and bread and things like that anyway. So now I plan 3 days ahead. I plan exactly what I need for my children's lunchbox, for my husband's lunchbox. I plan exactly what I need for breakfast. I plan exactly what I need for drinking. I plan exactly what I need for supper. And I plan that menu ahead. I know exactly what I'm going to make. And then the fourth tip, make a list. Write it down so that you know this is what I need to plan ahead for 3 days. And then when you go to the shop, only buy what's on that list. Only buy what you need. Don't buy more. Don't buy extra. Only buy what you need. Now, sometimes bulk buying is better and it's cheaper. It's not always, by the way. If you work it out, sometimes it's like a 4 or 5 rand difference. So it's not always necessary to buy bulk to save. You must check. Okay. So sometimes it is, however, better to buy bulk. And sometimes you buy a bag of apples or a bag of potatoes that you can use for a couple of meals. That works out, and quality over quantity sometimes. But if you have a really, really, really tight budget, it's not about a special. It's not about a good deal. It's about the exact amount of cash I have in my wallet and what I can buy for it. So you need to decide, am I buying now to buy bulk for a deal, or am I buying cash flow wise? And if it's a cash flow restriction, you are going to limit the sizes that you buy. You're not going to buy 2 kilograms of potatoes if you can get away with a kilogram for 3 days meals. Okay. And then obviously, if you're not going to use potatoes again, this is just an example. So yeah, if for cash flow, you will limit the size that you buy. So watch that as well. If you're used to just buying 2 kilograms of potatoes, that's one way to save. You might not really need the 2 kilograms for that month. You might only need the 1 kilogram. And you'll only know this if you planned ahead, because you know what meals you're going to cook, and you know the amount of potatoes you're going to need. So then you can limit your. Then shop ahead. So like I said, I plan ahead 3 days, then I shop ahead 3 days, and I do not go, that's my last tip, to the shops during that time, because you will need something else. If I find that I need something, I make a list. I have a little whiteboard on my fridge, and I write it down as I realize that I need it. And then with my next shopping, I look and see, do I have availability to add that? If I can't add it and I don't need it immediately, I'll let it roll over to the next 3 days. Okay. So yeah, that is my tip. Here's an example of a 3-day menu that I have. Okay. So this is ideal. I like to not have 2 red meats meals in a row, and I'm talking now specifically just about suppers, because this video is going to be way too long if I have to include breakfast and lunch and stuff. So I'm just talking about suppers. Your main meal, if you have your main meal as a lunch, then that's the main meal that I'm talking about now. So I like not having to repeat 3 days of red meat from a health point of view, and also variety, and so my family doesn't get tired of the same meals, and I don't get tired of cooking the same thing over and over again. So that is one. Okay. I like including chicken because my family likes chicken, and I like having fish at least once a week if possible, otherwise at least once every 2 weeks. A perfect 3-day meal to me would be as follows. Say we were working on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and a Monday spaghetti bolognese, on a Tuesday mayo chicken with mashed potatoes and broccoli, and then on the Wednesday baked hake and savory rice. Right. Let's just revert back to the menu. Spaghetti bolognese, family loves it. So that'll always be in my meal. Mayo chicken, that's my family's favorite type of chicken dish. And I like it when I make that, but I will show you now that is an expensive dish, and that you need to amend it if your budget is tight. Okay. And then baked hake, fish is very expensive. So I often replace hake with something else, another white meat like fish cakes. or just another chicken meal, something like that, just to have another white meat in there. Okay. So now I'm going to show you the ingredients, and I'm not going to include the spices and the sauces and stuff like that, because oil, for instance, you buy a bottle, you have it in your cupboard, it will last you a month. Tomato sauce, you'll have it in your fridge and it will probably last you a month, depending on how much tomato sauce your children use. So I'm not going to budget for that, because that's a once off and you don't always need to replace or refill it. I'm just going to budget for the main ingredients. So you'll see there on the ingredients list, for the spaghetti bolognese, you'll have lean beef mince, spaghetti, bolognese sauce, and cheese sauce. Then for your spices, you'll have oil, salt, pepper, sugar, soy sauce, garlic, and herb, stuff I always have in my house. So just to get back to this, I like lean beef mince. You might like extra lean beef mince, which will cost you extra. I strongly dislike ground beef, just plain full fat. So if I absolutely have to, in a really, really tight budget, I'll consider it, because it is much cheaper. But I try to stick with the lean beef mince. It's more meat as well and less fat, so it's healthier as well. Then also the spaghetti. You get different makes. I go for the cheapest make on the shelf. I have one that I like. I have found that some of them are terrible if they're cheaper, so I don't buy them. But that's the kind of spaghetti I use. I do not always use a full pack of 500 gram. I often use half a pack, depending on if I'm going to have a side dish and how much lunch my family had. Then also the bolognese sauce. I am a lazy cook, so I don't make it from scratch. I buy pre-cooked, pre-made. But I like to buy one that's got real veggies in it. So a bag of sauce that's got your carrots and your tomatoes and stuff in there from a health perspective. That is ideal to me, if I can get that. Then cheese sauce, again, I like buying the fresh cheese sauce. It's just healthier for your family. So I buy that, and that's how I make my bolognese. I'm not going to give you the full recipes of these. I'm just giving you ideas. This is not the focus here of the recipe. So that is how I make it. But that specific list, the way that I want it, ideal, as you can see on the next slide I'll show you, ideally that one will cost me 172 Rand 96. So if I have a tight budget, what I would do is firstly replace the tomato sauce based fresh vegetable bolognese sauce to a packet of instant or dry or cook-in sauce. And it will save me a couple of rands. Same with the cheese sauce. Instead of a fresh cheese sauce, I'll buy the add boiling water kind, the powder, and you add boiling water, and then I'll just spice it up a little bit, add some little bit of extra grated cheese in there. And then it will only cost me 117 Rand 96. Okay. If I have a very, very tight budget, I will not use the sauces at all. I won't buy the packet sauces. I won't buy the fresh sauces. I'll buy 4 fresh tomatoes. I'll use 2 of them and make my own sauce. Then I mush it up, add water, add milk to make it a bit more creamy, thickener like Maizena, and make a sauce. And I'll make a big sauce so I can stretch it and add just more flavoring. Because with a sauce, you can really stretch mince if you thicken it enough. Okay. I always have packets of soup powder in my house to thicken things with, and stock powder to make a quick sauce with. But Maizena is always good if you want a creamy sauce. And for my bolognese, my people don't like a soury, tomatoey bolognese, so I make a creamy sauce together with it. On that budget, it will only cost me 102 Rand 97. Now the mayonnaise chicken, I have budgeted here for the mayonnaise and the chutney because you need a whole cup, and that's a lot. So I have budgeted for that. So chicken, 79 Rand 91. You have your potatoes. Here I have a kilogram bag of potatoes, because you can't just buy 1 or 2 potatoes. You could in some shops, but I'll need at least 4 or 5 to make mash for my 3-member family. Probably 6 or 7 depending on the size. So I'll just buy a kilogram bag of potatoes. That'll cost me 34.99 for the mash. And then I'll buy the bag of frozen broccoli, 40 Rand 99, because that's what my family likes. They don't like crunchy veggies, which I know is more healthy, but they like them well cooked, so the frozen works well for us. And then my bottle of mayonnaise, 34.99, and my bottle of chutney, 36.99. So this meal would cost me 218 Rand 87 cents. Okay. And oh, by the way, the chicken is that 5-piece braai pack that you get the drumsticks and the thighs. So this is free-range chicken, because I like free-range chicken. I prefer free-range chicken. So this is my ideal budget. But if I have a tight budget, this is what I'll do. I'll not buy free range, which saves me quite a bit, 58 Rand 37 versus 70 Rand 91 if I don't buy the free range. And I won't buy a bag of potatoes, because potatoes in my house, I don't cook a lot of potatoes because we eat a lot of pasta, because my family likes pasta. So I often find that they go off or they start to grow. It's alive. So I don't buy bulk potatoes. So for this, in a tight budget, I'll buy a packet of Smash because my family likes it. So it's dried potatoes. And you just add water to that, and I just make it better with milk and butter and garlic. So yeah, I'll buy one bag because that's what I need for that meal. And that will only cost me 23 Rand versus the 35 Rand almost it would have cost me to buy a whole bag of potatoes, which I'll have to use half of anyway, or more than half sometimes, to make mashed potato. And then I'll stick with the broccoli, and I would not make the mayo chicken then in a tight budget. I would just grill the chicken, rub some olive oil on it, some chicken spice, and grill it under the grill. So no sauces, and it'll save me quite a bit. It will now only be 123.35 versus the 218 it would have been. If I've got a really, really, really tight budget, I would skip the broccoli, because although it's healthy and it's good for my family, it won't fill them up. Okay, and so it will be a bland, no green plate of food. But yeah, it would be chicken and mash. That would be my extremely tight budget, and then it will only cost me 82 Rand. We are looking at the hake and savory rice. Family loves savory rice, so I usually buy basmati or jasmine because it just makes a better savory rice. And that will cost me for the jasmine $39.99. The basmati is more expensive. I sometimes struggle to pay that amount, so I tend to buy jasmine. And then the mixed veggies that I put in there, frozen bag, if I buy a 38 Rand 99 bag, and then the hake 83 Rand 99 for the hake if I buy just the 6 portions, which would be enough for my family. All right, so in a tight budget, I would firstly not buy hake, I would buy fish cakes. And then I have 83 Rand versus 39 Rand for fish cakes. And then I would not buy the basmati or jasmine rice. I would buy just plain parboiled long grain white rice, and that would cost me 19 Rand versus the 39 Rand. And then the mixed veggies is still the same price. So that's a 162 for the ideal meal versus 98 for the tight budget meal. And then for extremely tight budget, I would not make rice. I wouldn't buy rice if I didn't have it in the house. I would again just buy a packet of Smash, and we would have fish cakes and Smash on a really tight week. Okay, and no veggies, right? So fruit and veggies, unfortunately, is the first thing I cut, because apart from it being healthy, it serves no other purpose but that it makes your food look good. So it won't fill you up. So if you really don't have money, it's not about how healthy you eat. It's about whether you go to bed hungry. You'll see here that the 3 meals in my ideal scenario would have cost me 554 Rand and 80 cents. In my tight budget scenario, 340 Rand 28 cents, which is a 214 Rand savings for 3 days. And then my very tight budget, 249.31, which is a savings of 305 Rand 49. So that is how you shop within a budget. Good luck!